Fred always, he makes up a little cheat sheet for me. I'm just going to tell you what happens here. And he puts down his plan of the week and what's in color and things like that. But right at the top of it, in great big bold letters with an exclamation point behind it, watering.
Yep.
And I'm thinking to myself, Mother Nature took care of that at my house on Wednesday,
Yes.
pretty much to the point where the stuff was almost coming out of the baskets. But, I mean, your point is they dry down quickly.
You had flotation baskets, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, Mark, that is a truth, and unfortunately, some people were totally overwhelmed with water. However, we're at that point where June 1, has come and gone. July 1 is upon us. The weekend next week is a big time in our country, etc. And that usually lets me know that regardless of specifics by the day and hour, we're going to be getting into some warm, dry weather. That's typical. That's just the area we live in. My son in Southern California said, Dad, that's nothing new to me. He said, we get 3 inches of water a year. You get it in one day. Well, not a good thing either way. Boils down to the fact that you and I, as listeners and as, call it normally functioning people, can go to a faucet, go to a refrigerator for cold water. We can put cubes in it. We can turn on a faucet outdoors and wash the car. But we don't think often enough of our plants. And I think first and most, because what got me into this entire area of interest was trees, big trees. And it happens to have been in northwest woods of California. But at the same time, plants cannot get up and move to a faucet. They have no ice cubes. They don't do this, that, and the next thing. They have, however, lived in their particular area. For example, we were at one time an oak, ash, beech, and hickory forest. The ash is pretty much gone now, but the other plants remain. And the reason they remain here is because our water, our weather, our comings and goings of snow and all the things that go along with it are something that those particular plants are quite accustomed to handling. However, they still can't go for water. And therefore, I will simply start by saying, if you should have to give up on something for finances or for water scarcity or whatever, let your lawn go. Now, I don't recommend that, but under the worst conditions, do let the lawn die down or, in fact, die. But I want to see a green circle under the drip line of every tree, shrub, and so on that you own, most especially the trees. A lawn, unfortunately, if it happens, but it can be replaced within 1 year, even a half a year sometimes. You can slice seed. If you lose it in August, you can slice seed in early September, have a new lawn by late October, and all's well. Now, you've lost a few bucks, but it's back and in good shape. A tree that is lost due to the lack of water is gone forever, as far as most of our human periods are concerned. I've threatened, jokingly, hopefully, that if I ever lose the honey locust at the back of the house, putting shade on the house in the morning, or the big oak in the front yard, both of which I planted, I could practically carry them when I planted them 40 years ago. But if I lose those, I'm going to put a realtor sign in the front yard right now
Yeah.
because they are not only beautiful and a setting, something that gives my home a setting, but they cool. They give me oxygen. They contribute to the overall. And it boils down then to being sure that they get enough water. I'm going to jump right to the fact that whatever kind of soaker hose you wish to use, and there are many now, lay it at the drip line, give or take inches or foot or whatever, and turn it on. Let it run for, 30, 40 minutes. Turn it off and let that amount of water break the crust, so to speak, as I put it. It allows for the greater uptake of water thereon. Give it a half an hour, 30 minutes as it is, an hour, and then turn the soaker on again. And the odds are you're going to want to leave that soaker, regardless of its kind, for 3 or 4 hours so that the water literally trickles out, runs down into the ground instead of off onto the sidewalk or street, and gets down into the root system of the tree. Now, we've talked before, trees of most well, the most unusual big trees even rarely have a root deeper than 3 feet. And most trees are going to have roots in the top 2.5 foot of soil, because that's where the oxygen and the water are, and that's why they grow in that zone. Keep that zone moist. Now, you don't have to do it very often. I would tell you that a good thorough soaking, 3, 4, 5 hours, will let water go down in the ground sufficient to be kept cool because of being deep, and providing for that tree for 3, 4 weeks, sometimes more. I mean, out in nature where nobody can do anything about all this, plants do their own thing.
Okay, so we had a significant amount of rainfall this week in most parts of the state.
Yep.
So if you were one of those folks that really got soaked, are we good for a month for the trees?
We would be, Mark. I don't like to think that it would be a month, but yes, I think that they would be safe for a month. But at the 30th day, you want to be unwinding the soaker hose and have it hooked up, because the water in the ground is in a reservoir. Now, it's not an open pond or a quarry or whatever, but it is in a holding area where part of the pore space. Now, let's go back into soils. Soil is made up of whatever the granular material may be, sand on through finest of clays. Each will drain at a different rate. The ones that are sandy would need water far sooner than the 4th week. The ones that are in clay probably are doing fine, because the clay, where it can be an enemy in the spring when it's too wet, can be a water holding capacity factor. So you kind of have to judge that. But by and large, you will have taken pretty good care of your trees, be it ornamental trees or big shade trees, both, and for that matter, other plants, if you give them a good soaking once a month. Sooner is better. Mother Nature would hopefully contribute to keep the water bill down, but a big old tree is worth way more than the cost of one water bill.